Hello again, I'm Robert Fithin. Shrink wrap, that is what this video is all about. Do you leave it on the cover? Do you take it off? Myself, it's probably about 50% of the time, depending on, there's certain variables. There's pros, there's cons. So that's what I'm going to talk about. But first, let's talk about companies that don't even use shrink wrap. I'm always surprised by this. Like the great Music on Vinyl, these guys put out really quality reissues. They always sound great, like these two I just picked up in Chicago this week. Shout out to the Vinyl Community Gunkles. This is The Meters with Rejuvenation from 1974, reissue of that on Music on Vinyl. And of course, Demon Fuzz, Africa, two terrific albums that I just got finished listening to. This one, great New Orleans funk style, the classic Hey Pocky Away, and a bunch of great tunes on here. This one is kind of out there with the almost a little bit jazzy. This is about as close to jazz as I get. But anyway, Music on Vinyl put these out. They sound terrific, but no shrink wrap. They're just in these resealable covers here. So these sleeves. So if you go to a record store or like a record show or something like that, how do you know if these are new or used? Because no shrink wrap at all. And somebody could have this, own it, take it out of the thing, reseal it, and we're done. And then come up with, oh, this is brand new, never played. But yeah, these are great. But Music on Vinyl does not use shrink wrap. Neither does Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. MoFi just comes in these big bags. I guess you got to cut this open for the first time, and then you know that it's, not new. But still, I don't really like these. They're big, they're kind of cloudy, they're not as clear as the Music on Vinyl or some other kind of sleeves you can buy. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Mobile Fidelity big bulky bag things here with the sticker on here that lets you know that this Randy Travis MoFi has got the DSD thing going on before the analog. So, but yeah, kind of loose, not attractive. Same thing with this Record Store Day release from the Rolling Stones from a couple of years ago. They did the Big Hits Volume 1 and Volume 2, put them in these oversized bags, especially this octagon-shaped one. That just does not look good to me. But I did not want to get rid of it because it's got the Record Store Day sticker on there. So it's kind of, if you put that in the collection and it just goes like that, not fun at all. I definitely do not like the no shrink wrap and put it in a bulky, cloudy bag. But back to shrink wrap. One reason to have the shrink wrap on your albums is, of course, the hype stickers. A lot of people love these hype stickers. Here's some kind of extreme ones in size. This one lets you know that Tina Turner's Private Dancer won 4 Grammy Awards. And mentions all these singles on here. This is one way you could know that this is kind of a later pressing, probably about a year and a half in, because it's got all these singles. So all these are already singles at this point where this pressing was released and bought. So that's a good way to tell kind of, where your pressing is in the first year and a half or whatever. Michael Jackson's Thriller, I think, has about 4 different versions of a hype sticker. The very first one, I think, is a little purple one that just says includes Billie Jean and Beat It, or maybe just Billie Jean. And so that's one way you can tell kind of earlier pressings is the smaller the hype sticker if a album has all kinds of singles released from it. But yeah, you like the hype stickers, you got to have those on there as well. Here's another Record Store Day one. I wish all Record Store Day releases had the Record Store Day identifier on there, letting you know this is a Record Store Day release with the sticker. Here's another one from the Outfield, again with the several singles released on here on the hype sticker. Prince, Sign of the Times. Doesn't say that anywhere on the album cover, but this big-ass heart lets you know that this is Prince, Sign of the Times. And here's one where I'm kind of torn, just like the shrink wrap is here, because this is all torn, folded. It doesn't look good, but I can't take this off because I want to keep that. So, I guess you could cut this out and put it, in the sleeve or something. But yeah, it's totally coming apart. Not attractive at all. And later on in this video, I will show you an album similar to this that's got some tattered shrink wrap on it. Doesn't look good. It's been shrink wrapped since the 80s, but I'm going to finally take the shrink wrap off. So don't miss that exciting moment. And speaking of hype stickers, I still remember the first time I ever heard the phrase hype sticker, and it was years before YouTube or the Vinyl Community. This was back in the late 80s. It wasn't from a record collector or some sort of music magazine or something like that. It was actually, the first time I ever heard the expression hype sticker was in a Stephen King book, The Stand. That huge, long book. I still remember there was a character in there that was like a soul singer, R&B singer, and they were talking about his album, and he wanted to title it this, but the record company wanted him to title after this big single. He didn't want that title, so he had to settle for a hype sticker that said featuring the hit. And that was the first time I ever heard the words hype sticker, a Stephen King novel. One reason to keep the hype sticker on, again, another Record Store Day release, is these side panels. You know, you put this in the collection, there's no shrink wrap on here. It can bend this back and it could fall off. And, you know, the obis on the Japanese releases that I talked about in my last video, those could rip apart, fall off. But if you have the shrink wrap still on here, it sort of protects these side panels. And this one, man, this one's got all the info on here. Let you know that this is Blues Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Songwriter Hall of Fame, Grammy Award winner, Willie Dixon. You know, this has got the long out of print until now. 1973 is when it first came out. It's on yellow and clear vinyl. And just in case you didn't know, it's a 12-inch LP. Very important for the hype sticker to tell you that. Collector's edition, only one pressing. You got the original album artwork, the original inner sleeve, deluxe packaging, and then if that's not enough, you have it continuing on the back, all the songs on here, and here's what the cover looks like in case you missed it on the front. They were nice enough to put it on the back for you as well. So yeah, protecting obis and side panels are a good reason to keep the shrink wrap on. Here's another one from the Rolling Stones from the last major Record Store Day here. Beggar's Banquet, by the way, love this pressing of this. Sounds great. And it's on that gray swirl of gray, blacks and whites or whatever vinyl. But again, the track listing on the back here, because it's not on the actual album. I mean, it's kind of all over the wall there, but yeah, and it lets you know some information about the color vinyl and all that. But again, you take the shrink wrap off, you run the risk of knocking this off or bending it or whatever. So shrink wrap protecting the obi strips and the side panels. Shrink wrap on this Foreigner album. I really wanted to find a different one that had this, but I settled for Foreigner 4. Again, hype sticker and these little things that, you know, music is the best entertainment choice. And remember the give the gift of music. They'd stick those on here around the holidays or whatever. But yeah, Foreigner 4 has this. And for people who weren't around at the time who might see these little price stickers on here and wonder why that middle section is missing, that's a SoundScan thing. And record stores and department stores, what they would do when you would check out, they would take that off and put it in a little box and then send it off to SoundScan, and that's the way they would know what albums were sold. And so that's why you have these two little strips here and the middle part is missing. Now, if you have one that's fully intact, that means that probably the clerk did not know what they were doing and didn't take it off, or somebody stole the album, one of the two. But yeah, that's supposed to be gone. So if you have one where it's still there, there's something happened there that wasn't supposed to. But yeah, that's the story behind those little two things there. There's a centerpiece that gets taken off when you bought it. Great reason to have the shrink wrap on a record. I love this. Not only do you have a hype sticker, but also Record Bar. You can have the store where the record was originally purchased, and I used to love Record Bar, so definitely going to do that. And by the way, $8.49 for that when it was first out. So if you adjust that for inflation, it does kind of make sense that records are around $30 because that's what $8.49 would be. I think like $28 or something like that these days. Not $45 for an album, but around $28, $30 is about comparable with inflation adjusted for $8.49 from Record Bar. Not only do I have my Record Bar sticker on my Stevie Nicks album, I also have a Record Bar bag, bringing back great memories. Because apparently I could only afford a 45 from Record Bar back in those days. So love my little Record Bar bag. But anyway, more hype stickers here on shrink wrap, but also another store sticker there. This one is Spin-A-Disc. I don't remember that store, but Spin-A-Disc was where this was purchased for $6.99. Here's one, this Prince 12-inch single for You Got the Look with Sheena Easton. Sound Warehouse. You may remember Sound Warehouse. They didn't have a lot around here. We had Street Side Records, Camelot Music, obviously Record Bar in the mall, and some obviously some local stores like Co-op, and but no sound, not a lot of Sound Warehouses where I was from. But yeah, this was $3.99, and of course couldn't talk about record stores without Peaches. Now the retail price on this was $6.49, but the peachy price was only $4.98 for Elvis, from Elvis in Memphis, his album. This kind of went up in value, by the way. But you can start seeing here, even though I would never remove this because, you know, Peaches, I'm not going to get rid of that sticker. But you can sort of see that having the shrink wrap on doesn't always make the album look better. Sometimes it's really bright, the light reflects off of it, looks really cool, like in the Stevie Nicks one or whatever, or the Men at Work one. But you also have ones that start getting this, like, groove wear on there, you know, and, yeah, it's just... it doesn't look great. If I peeled this off, the record would look, the album cover would look wonderful. But did I just say groove wear? I meant ring wear. Anyway, it's on there. Now here's one. I would never take this off. The Beatles' Abbey Road. This has been shrink wrapped since 1969. So I mean, I could never just remove this shrink wrap because I mean it's part of the album at this point. But the fact that this album cover has never been touched, because, you know, since it was released before I was even born, I think it's pretty incredible that the shrink wrap has stayed intact on this for all that time. I got several albums like that where it's still mind-blowing to me, where it's like the shrink wrap has been on here for 55 years, you know, that kind of thing is just crazy to me. Over half a century that's been shrink wrapped. Now, one reason to remove the shrink wrap would be albums like this, where the shrink wrap gets, you know, you just slice it open because you want to keep it nice. But still, it's all loose. You could just remove the album out of here, no problem at all. It's not tight at all. It's loose. It doesn't look great. You know, it's like that. I don't like shrink wrap like that, where it basically just is going to fall off. And sometimes the back will open up, and like I showed you with the Prince thing, stuff will just be hanging off and whatever. If there's no hype sticker, I'm going to remove the shrink wrap eventually on this and just keep it. It doesn't look good. It's all about appearance, right? When you're talking about shrink wrap. Because if you just wanted to protect your albums, you would just get your own, like, sleeves and put these in. But, yeah, shrink wrap, at least you know that the album cover has never been touched. Now, here's another reason why you might want to remove the shrink wrap. I was talking about the Beatles with the shrink wrap still on it since 1969. This is actually sealed. And I believe this is from 1966 or 67. Every Mother's Son's Back. Not a huge band, not something that's really sought after or whatever. You can usually find this for $3, but this is actually still sealed after all these years. You can see that there's some openings here, like somebody had cut the sticker off there, and the back here has an opening, and there's another one right here. But yeah, this is still sealed. But older shrink wrap like this has a tendency, if you keep it on here, to kind of crush the corners. It's so tight on here, it could crush the corners of the album in and actually start to kind of ruin the album cover. So that would be another reason why you want to take the shrink wrap off, so you don't tighten those corners up and start, you know, kind of crushing those in. But yeah, Every Mother's Son, I've never heard this album. Still got it shrinked. Another reason to take the shrink wrap off, you don't want people to know your Metallica album came from Walmart. So you just take this off and be like, ooh, original pressing from 1986. It's not an original pressing. This is like from 3 years ago. This is the one with the red vinyl as the Walmart thing lets you know, and the blackened logo on the back. But yeah, good reason to take the shrink wrap off, so you can fool people into thinking it's a first pressing, and really it's from Walmart. So yeah, there's all kinds of reasons to leave it on, take it off. Let me know what you do. But before I end the video, I got one more album, and that is Dio. The Last in Line. I believe this is from 86, maybe 84. I'm not a huge Dio fan, as I mentioned before, but here's a reason to take it off. This looks terrible. This album would look better with this shrink wrap off here, because the shrink wrap is kind of dirty. It's got kind of dirt in there, as you can see, especially on the top here. So if I took this off, it would actually be a more presentable album cover. And it's only hanging on here by just this right here. This has all been torn away. And it's just got this little piece right here. It's been shrink wrapped. This has never been touched before since, you know, it was born in the 80s. And I am in front of your eyes here going to take the shrink wrap off and show you how much better this is going to look. Let's do it. Ooh, I just broke it. And there it is. Yes, that definitely looks much better, much shinier. And I'm touching it for the first time. I'm touching the demon's belly. He's never had his belly touched before. Dio, The Last in Line. I'm going to put up pictures here. So do you like it with the dirty shrink wrap on? A, do you like it as the way it is now? B, or do you like it with a new sleeve put on it? C. Which looks better to you? Now, obviously, with the new sleeve, it's going to be better protected, but I'm just strictly going by visual here. Which do you prefer? A, B, or C? Let me know in the comments. I'm Robert Fithen, and that is my take on shrink wrap. Sometimes I leave it on, sometimes I take it off. It all depends. Are there hype stickers? Are there record store stickers on here? Is there something memorable on the shrink wrap? Is it nice and tight and shiny and looks great? Is it loose and dirty and whatever? You got to take it off. Does it kind of take away from the album some way of having the shrink wrap on there? Let me know in the comments what you do. Let me know A, B, or C with the Dio photos. And thank you for watching my shrink wrap video. And hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.